What is up, friends? Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Football, Sis. Fantasy football for the girls, by the girls, baby. We are back rolling into week 6 of NFL football. And, well, I don't know. Like, I was telling my husband about this. I don't know if, fantasy football has been more intense because we're talking about it so much, but I feel like there's been so many injuries, far more than years past. But I think it's because we're so hyper-fixated, right?
I think so too, and it feels like you're way I'm more attached to the players.
Everybody,
and I feel like I got someone breaking out, then they go down, and I do. Yes. I feel like it's way more intense this year more than ever. Being so wrapped up in it, it's just part of my identity now.
I agree.
I look at people and they're like, I bet you don't know that I know a lot about fantasy football.
I know, right? I'm like, I know a lot. Also, I take it so personally. We give you guys opinions and suggestions, and I feel so fucking bad when they don't pan out. So so sorry about some of the week 5 disappointments. And as two very empathetic humans, I'm always like, oh my gosh, but it's all good. Shit'll buff out. This is the nature of fantasy football. We are all making guesses and opinions, but I've had so much great feedback from so many listeners, just from the fact that they are 5-0. They are winning the week. They are absolutely fucking dominating their leagues due to our advice. So we thank you guys. We're so excited to have you here, and we're excited to roll into another week after some interesting week 5 matchups, to say the least. But Ange, tell us a little bit about your Sunday recap. How did your games go? How did your fantasy go? Lay it on us.
So I went into fantasy a little bit scared. I know on the Sleeper app, I'm not really familiar with the other ones, but you pull up your matchup and it's either a red line or a green line. And I'm like, okay, come on, green line, but it was red. But it's usually always pretty 50-50 at the start. But then leading up to the week, and then I had guys go out. I had some weird spots I had to fill because of bye weeks, whatever. So I was a little bit shaky, a little bit uncertain, but my guys, and I'm calling them my guys pulled it out. And I had some weird dudes do some awesome stuff. Michael Carter came in hot for me. I almost picked up Trey Tucker and was like, I'll go with Trey Tucker, or Sean Tucker. I get those two mixed up all the time. Sean Tucker, who's with the
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yes. Almost picked him up. Actually picked him up, then dropped him again, then grabbed Michael Carter, and very, very glad I did. But I was able to win both mine. Last night was a little close. I told my husband, I'm going to win both. And then he's like, well, Patrick Mahomes is doing really good. And I'm like, shit, I'm playing Patrick Mahomes in both of the leagues. Both leagues was the starting quarterback. He's like, well, he's doing a really good first half here. I got a little scared, but I had a good weekend. It was a pretty normal Sunday for me too. I just got to do my thing. I got to relax. I got to watch football. It was a great day. How about yours? And how about your fantasy?
I love it. Won both my leagues in fantasy, which is always a huge freaking win. I was so nervous. I had a quarterback decision to make. Well, no, I didn't have a quarterback decision to make. I lied. In my one girls league, our Sundays is for the girls league, I had to roster, my entire team had to be rostered because my team is just riddled with injuries. I had to play Kendre Miller as a running back because I had literally no other running back options. Bucky was ruled out. Jalen Warren was on a bye. I was like, holy shit balls. What am I going to do? Bad. But ended up winning the week and was really, really surprised by it. Dak Prescott saved my life. George Pickens having a late touchdown saved my life. T. Higgins having a late touchdown saved my life.
The garbage time was a help.
I love garbage
time. Usually I hate the garbage
time,
time, but this time it was because it's worked in our favor, so we loved
it. Correct. Anytime garbage time works in your favor, you're keep on racking them points up, baby. I love to see it. Unfortunately, Jameson Williams is just a thorn in my 2-point side, but It's all good. I had a great week. We had our little pickleball posse. We play pickleball once a week with a little group of guys. It's, me, my husband, and 2 of his good friends, but we have formed quite a little alliance and fun time together. So they came over for the morning game. My husband is unfortunately a Browns fan. So they came over to watch the Browns-Vikings game, which was a fun way to start the morning. I did some sausage gravy and biscuits, and we had a whole nice little spread. And it was a nice way to spend the morning. But yeah, and a pretty plain week, which is always welcome for me.
That's exactly. Finally didn't have everything booked on the calendar, could go into the week to relax just a little bit and have some downtime, which made Sunday even more rot fest Sunday.
Rot fest Sunday, baby.
Took a little siesta in there, woke up, had some good surprises in my fantasy. It's a good time.
Nothing's better when you're like, go to bed on a shitty fantasy like week so far and you're like, fuck this, I'm never playing fantasy again. And then you wake up from your nap and you're like, I love fantasy football. Let's go, baby.
Right.
Yes. It's the best. It's the best. That's the hot and cold personality of fantasy football. If you don't hate your life, sometimes you're not playing the game right, baby. So it's all good. If you had a downer week, don't worry. This is your reclaim. Let's get into some fun stuff here. So we're going to talk plays of the week like we always do. We're going to go vet of the week. We're going to go rookies of the week. And then obviously we will get into our week 5 deep dive, talk about some highlights and some letdowns, injury reports, and then get into week 6 sit starts for every single matchup. So let's get into our play of the week. And kick us off with your personal play of the week.
My favorite play of the week, and there was a lot of different things to pick from, and I wanted so badly to do, may have snatched it out from under me before I could grab it on the list on our notes, but the David Montgomery touchdown, meaning he threw the pass touchdown, right? He didn't just run it in, he threw it. And then they, the commentators are talking, well, he used to be a quarterback, he's from Cincinnati, he had never played back in his hometown, so it was even like cooler to see. His family was there. His sister was in like a tragic car accident about a year ago and she's paralyzed. So she got to finally be at the game. They flashed to her. I saw clips of after the game when he gets to see her. It was just the most heartfelt thing. I loved it. I loved every minute of that. I loved every minute of David Montgomery. So that's my play of the week for sure.
Same. He's such a good guy. No, I love that. I was so happy that he got to like have that highlight. And just, I think that's what I love about the Lions is they are so willing to like make those types of things happen for people.
Yeah.
I love that freaking team. Yeah. If I wasn't a Steelers fan, that would be the team I loved, right?
Agreed.
Hands down.
Even though they're from Michigan, I agree.
Don't care.
Yeah, don't care.
All right. Well, my play of the week is not because it was a good play, but because it was a fucking laugh your ass off. These guys are paid millions of dollars. I can't believe it play. It was when there was a deflected pass into a Cardinals interception. Okay, so deflected pass. Cardinals intercepted the ball. Juggle. Cardinals fumble the ball. Tennessee scoops and scores. It was like fucking ping pong or no, what's the other game? When you push the ball.
It was foosball.
No, that's not it. It's this game. Pinball. Is that what I said? It's this one when you're like boom, 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 and the pinball's all over the place. No, foosball's with the guy.
Oh, like the actual arcade.
Arcade game. It was like pinball. You were doing both it was hands. Like bang, boom, bam, boom, boom, and then it was like me and my husband jaw open. I was like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
I know.
That whole game was just
a clusterfuck of clusterfucks. We'll talk more about that in a hot second. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that was my kind of fun play of the week because it was just goofy and nutty. And it was also fun to see the Tennessee Titans at least take home a W because you know what? I'm sorry. I'm too empathetic for it. I don't want to see a team go 0-5. Like, get a win, baby. Get out of the goose egg world. All right. How about your vet of the week, Ange? Who's your vet of the week?
Vet of the week was CJ Stroud. I think everybody kind of forgot about CJ Stroud, but old rookie quarterback CJ Stroud came out to play, and he did not disappoint. He finished going 23 out of 27, 244 yards, 4 touchdowns, 30 rushing yards. He just looked great. It really was an encouraging kind of sight for me to see CJ Stroud kind of back in the vibe of things. We all forgot about it. We doubted it. He said, shut the hell up. I'm still here. And yes, it was against a rough Ravens defense, like the roughest Ravens defense I remember ever seeing. But it was still great. And I think that he's going to kind of use that momentum to keep springing forward as we go through the rest of the season. So someone to keep an eye on.
I agree. It really was like rookie CJ. You had him his rookie year in fantasy.
I did.
And like when CJ Stroud and Tank Dell were on fire there for a while, it was like fun fucking football. So it was so very fun. Like just like vintage CJ Stroud, even though he's only 3 years into the NFL. But
yeah, you feel like,
right. You're like, ooh, but I remember that. Nonetheless, my vet of the week is Rico Dowdle himself. He stepped up to the plate with Chuba out. I mean, if you ended up picking up Rico off of the free agency because Chuba was out, you won the week. You had to win the week. He was a beast. So impressive. 206 rushing yards, which is insane work as a running back. And again, we want to just watch and monitor Chuba Hubbard's health because if Chuba's out, even if Chuba's not out, I have a feeling Rico's going to be very, very involved in week 6 because this is a revenge game for Rico Dowdle as he faces his former team of the Cowboys. And I literally was sitting there thinking like, they didn't want this man. They passed on this man. Like Javonte Williams has been great for the Cowboys.
Right.
But Rico is good. He has juice. He has strategy. He looked wonderful. Now, he did get his ass kind of beat up a little bit, so make sure he's healthy. But I mean, good on you, Rico Dowdle. Way to step up. I love it when a guy who becomes a backup really says, you never should have made me a backup, and shows himself. It was amazing.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's go. Rookie of the week, dude. Break it down.
Here we go. It's Bill time, Bill time, Bill time. Oh, we finally freaking got to see him show his stuff. 27 total fantasy football points. So if you kept the faith in Bill and you didn't say, he's in that 3 committee back, you were benching him, you trusted it and you loved Bill and you had that little piece in your heart that was reserved for Bill, like me. I don't have him, but I wish I did. 14 touches, 111 yards, 2 out of 2 receptions for 39 yards, 2 touchdowns. It was great. And then I kind of caught a tail end of, I think Tom Brady does this this award, and it's called something like weird, like funny, but whatever. I can't remember. But he was interviewing him, and the smile on Bill's face was just like, I'm talking to Tom Brady right now. And it was so cute. And I just felt like that's how I would talk to one of my idols. Like, it would be just like that. So super excited for Bill, especially going into week number 6, even more excited for his performance. So who is your rookie of the week?
I love it. So my rookie of the week, Quinshon Judkins, he looked great in the Cleveland Browns offense. He's really kind of one of the bright pieces of their offense, and just love him as a running back in general. Obviously, as an Ohio State guy, I always have a little bit of a bias there. And don't get me wrong, I don't like the Cleveland Browns, but I do, however, love him. He ran for 110 yards on 23 carries. He added an 18-yard reception. He would have had a touchdown if the fucking offense would just stop committing every time he had a big play. Penalty, called back. I was like, what the hell, man? Let this man get him some work. But those are all things you look for, right? Where you're like, if these things would have ended up panning out for him, he would have even scored more points, which we love to see. So if you happen to have him, if you took a shot on him during the draft, because, he didn't have that contract signed. So we were all like, is this man going to play or not? Right. Oh, he's playing and he's here to stay. We love that for Quinshon Judkins. All right, let's move into some week 5 fantasy football wrap-ups. Just some things to talk about here. Obviously, I think some really big highlights is New England beating the Buffalo Bills, which I didn't even think it was going to happen.
No, neither did I. I thought this was going to be like a bust out game. Like, I'm going to turn it off. I'm not going to be sad to go to bed on this one, but it wasn't. It was very competitive and really good. A really good game.
Absolutely. It started so boring. There were so many. I hate when the game is just riddled with penalties. I'm like, guys, it's just stoppage. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like ready to go to bed and be done with it. And, I can't sleep through the night. Haven't slept through the night since I was in my 20s, I don't think. So I usually wake up in the middle of the night. I'm checking the game scores because, the game's still on because I go to bed like a grandma. And then I looked at the end of the night. I was like, oh, shit. I'm looking at my phone. I was like, am I seeing that right? Oh, they did end up beating the Buffalo Bills. I love it. Same thing with Jacksonville beating Kansas City. I literally was like, I want Kansas City to lose this week. And I was like really hoping that they would take the L. Okay. Like, I'm not a big Kansas City fan. It's just, they've won enough. Like, I'm ready for them not to keep winning everything. Also, I just think the refs highly favor Kansas City, and they always they treat them with a little bit of a different glove situation. And I'm like, there's no way Jacksonville could beat them though. Oh no, they did.
It happened. It was real.
Happened, baby. Yeah. Trevor Lawrence looked great. I mean, he performed well. He made his mistakes. He will always make his mistakes, but he did perform very, very well in week number 5. And then the Rams losing because Kyron fumbled on the goal line, dude.
Poor Kyron.
Kyron. He had a great week. So if you're the Kyron manager, you're not mad, but all you're thinking about is it could have been a high 30-point week if he would have scored that tutty. A high 30-point week. I would have won if he would have scored that touchdown, Kyron. I have a league that I'm in with my husband, and I lost that week. And I could have won. I could have won if you would have scored one more touchdown that you didn't fumble, but it's okay, baby.
Does he not know how many people rely on him? Does he not know?
It's like he doesn't care about fantasy football or something.
Come on.
Who knows? All right, we got to talk about some other booty hole appearances here. Amari DeMarcado.
This is still happening. How is this still happening? So you mentioned earlier, these multi-million dollar men are being paid.
Unacceptable.
And I know children who play football who don't make mistakes. So tell everybody, if you are unfamiliar of what's happening, what happened?
Yes. Amari DeMarcado ran an amazing rush and it was going to score a touchdown, let up, pushed the brakes on his own run, was cocky asshole walking into the end zone, dropped the motherfucking ball before he crossed the line. We just watched Aiden Mitchell do that and got ripped to shreds for it.
Like, I know.
Hold the fucking ball all the way into the end zone, period.
Why is it like a weird drop the mic situation?
Oh, it's like, I'm so
like it's good. Like,
and then it's like, you actually suck. And you could have won the game for your team if you wouldn't have acted like an idiot.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. That, or how fucking funny was it when they snapped the ball into Kyler Murray's fucking face?
Like the circus music played in my head there, played in the end, you know, the what you talked about as your play of the week, right? Where it's like bloop, 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 bloop.
Just like, I know. It was almost like Patrick Starr out there trying to get a pass and it was like, boom, boom, boom. Oh my gosh. And then, for mind you, Kyler Murray was removed from the game because apparently it was snapped that hard into his face. I was like, oh my God.
I think he was just embarrassed. It was a shame pool.
Oh, it was just like,
Coach, you gotta just let me like run. Just let me get out of here for a minute.
I need to take a minute because I'm
like,
fucking embarrassed.
Snaps happen, but like that bad of a snap. It
was like meme level hilarious because like I just boom, like it was so bad. Drew was my husband's name is Drew. He was like, "Did you just see that?" I'm like, "He just got hit in the face with the fucking football."
Oh my God.
Oh gosh. And then how about, the booty hole that is Jake Browning? I've never yelled at a quarterback more than I yelled at Jake Browning. I'm like, you lead your fucking receiver. Throw it to the middle of the field. Why are you leading him into the defender? Just booty hole appearance.
I know.
But welcome to the welcome to the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Flacco.
Seriously. It's just that you're right. That's what's going to happen, right?
Well, it did already.
It did happen.
Yeah, Joe Flacco is signed to the Cincinnati Bengals. He is a starting quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals. Yep.
I'm sorry. I thought you were just like, they're going to pull him over. I'm late to the party here.
Yeah. Breaking news today just came out, not like a few hours ago anyways, but yeah, Joe Flacco is signed. He is a Bengal now, which, you know what? Gotta be. I mean, Joe Flacco hasn't looked great, and that's why obviously they threw Dylan Gabriel in there, but gotta be better than Jake Browning. Got to be.
I mean, I agree with you with the yelling at the TV. You would think I was a Cincinnati fan. And then my poor husband's like, he's finishing his master's. So he's filming this like presentation and he's re-listening to, he's like, you were yelling at the TV. You were like, what are you doing, Jake? And I'm like, he's like, who's Jake? I'm like, Jake Browning. He's terrible.
He's bad. He was bad. Yes. It's a whole thing. All right. Well, that's our week 5 fantasy roundup of just some funny and fun shit that happened in week 5 matchups. Let's go over some injury updates before we dive into sit start. So Omarion Hampton was placed on IR with a high ankle sprain, out at least for weeks. Antonio Gibson. All right, the end. I know, right? I was like, I offered her to fucking trade. Antonio Gibson out for the season with a torn ACL. Malik Neighbors, we knew that already. ACL, he's gone. Lamar Jackson, he was ruled out week 5 with hamstring strain. His availability for week 6 is uncertain, so you'll want to keep your eye on that. Again, someone to keep your eye on, Darius Slayton suffered a hamstring injury in week 5. His return timetable is unknown. They're kind of keeping it up in the air to see how he goes. Any soft tissue injury like that does worry me quite a bit, so keep your eye on Darius Slayton. Kyler Murray emerged from week 5 with a foot injury. Could it be a bruised ego? I don't know. However, he is uncertain for week 6. We already knew about Trey Benson. Bucky Irving, he was ruled out week 5 with a foot sprain. Ends up, he is actually dealing with a shoulder injury that's more serious than the foot. So who knows when Bucky's going to... It was like, some reports said he was hiding it from the team. And I'm like, bro, what are we doing? Like, get your ass... You're on my team. I need you.
Helping you here, buddy.
Get fully better, babe, because like you can sit out. I need you in the back half of the year. It's all right. We'll be all right. Terry McLaurin ruled out week 5, is optimistic for week 6. Keep your eye on it. Same thing with Chuba Hubbard, out week 5 with a calf injury, status uncertain at this point. Calvin Ridley missed practice early this week due to knee and elbow injuries after he decided to, I don't know, be a decent wide receiver. Holy shit. All right. Michael Pittman Jr. had limited practice participation due to a hamstring injury. Keep your eye on that as well. Bretton Strange was placed on IR for a quad. Sorry about that, ladies. He was out of the game early on Monday night. So that is unfortunate. All right. Well, that's injury updates. We're going to move on to week 6. Week 6 Hello, that's a hard one to say. Week 6 sit starts. I'm going to go ahead and kick us off here and start with our very first matchup of the Philadelphia Eagles versus the New York Giants. All right. So we're going to have a little bit of dialogue here. To me, Jalen Hurts is a no-brainer. You're going to be starting Jalen Hurts into your lineup. He's been great. Passing touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, been a very consistent player for you. The wide receiver room, however, this is honestly just like good luck picking who ends up getting the ball and who ends up getting into the end zone. We've seen A.J. Brown have his weeks. We saw Devontae Smith have a week last week. We just don't know really what's going on. And so it really is just guesswork at this point. In my opinion, I am going to favor Devontae Smith just a little bit. I would say like Devontae Smith over T. Higgins. I would play Devontae Smith over Wan'Dale Robinson. I would play Devontae Smith over Jameson Williams. I would play A.J. Brown over all of these guys as well. So like if I have A.J. Brown on my team, and if you're in a 12-team PPR league or greater, you probably can't sit A.J. Brown because your roster just can't manage it. If you're in an 8 to 10 team, you probably could handle sitting him. If I had to pick a guy, I'm probably going to lean Devontae Smith over A.J. Brown, which is asinine. But there's bad vibes coming from A.J. Brown in general. There was even a play last week where he just didn't even seem like he really gave his full ass or effort.
No.
And I don't think he has the best attitude. He also did state he didn't want to leave the team. So maybe it's a good week for him. Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown are risky starts, in my opinion, at this point. Barkley is an easy start. Go ahead and throw him in your lineup. Goddard is not a auto start this week. He faces a tough New York Giants who is good against the tight end. So I'm looking at guys like Ferguson, Kraft, Waller, all over Goddard. The only person I would consider is like Kelsey versus Goddard if you're making that question. Kelsey also has a very tough tight end matchup this week due to defense of the Detroit Lions. I might lean Goddard over Kelsey. That's probably the only guy I'm going to go Goddard for. But again, Ferguson, Kraft, Waller all over him. And the Eagles defense are a great start against Jackson Dart. Moving on to the Giants, we have Jackson Dart. He's a sit. Like you're not ready to start him just yet. And maybe in a super flex, that's really it right now. Wan'Dale Robinson is a sit for me this week. He is facing a very, very difficult Eagles offense, specifically on the wide receiver room. So he is someone I'm not really excited to start this week. I'm sitting Darius Slayton with the injuries, also pending. That's somebody I'm not interested in. Cam Scatterbo, yeah, absolutely. Keep an eye on Tracy if he does end up coming back. That will take some time away from Cam Scatterbo, but he has looked absolutely great. He's had so much upside with all the work he's getting. So if he is the only back, easy start. If he's going to split time with Tracy, I still think Cam is a valid start this week for sure. Theo Johnson had a great week. You might have decided to pick him off of waiver wires by the time you listen to this episode. I don't think it's terrible. Just know that this is not a good matchup for Theo Johnson because, again, the Eagles are very good against the tight end position. However, with all of the injuries in the wide receiver room, you could take your shot on Theo Johnson and hope for the best. He is a good friend with Jackson Dart. We saw them kind of like dance cheering in the end zone. They're connecting really well because they're close, so he feels comfortable with him. So I don't think it's a terrible matchup. It's just a risky start in my opinion. And the Giants defense is a sit, my friend.
Exactly. And then headed into Denver versus the Jets. To start off with the Jets, I think Bo Nix is definitely becoming a better quarterback, right? As we go throughout this season, I think he's a solid high-end streaming quarterback if you need one. If one of your quarterbacks is on bye this week or you're having some quarterback issues, I think he's a great pickup there. Plus, the Jets defense is struggling right now. So that's another plus for Bo Nix. At the running back position, J.K. Dobbins is a start. He's back doing his thing. He's clearly the lead back for Denver. He had 20 carries, 79 yards. The Jets run defense is also just really not great, right? They're giving up 100 rushing yards and a touchdown per game. So that locks in J.K. Dobbins for you. I would sit R.J. Harvey. I think J.K. Dobbins has taken over that role, definitely. So R.J. Harvey's not really in my conversation as much anymore. Let me go to wide receivers. We go to Courtland Sutton. I think he is a start. I think he's going to be paired up against Sauce Gardner, but we still saw guys like George Pickens show some good things even with that matchup. I don't think that it's going to be such a shutdown like I think everybody jumps to with that defense. So I would start Courtland Sutton. In a deeper league, I think that, like Amanda said earlier about another player, that might be all you got, so you got to do it. I think he's a safe play. Marvin Mims, you're sitting, nothing really there. The only guy I would kind of think about would be Troy Franklin. He's actually a flex consideration. I know I popped him into my lineup last week when I needed him, and he didn't really do anything fabulous and great, but he is there because he can do good things, right? He is definitely someone who can score touchdowns for you, can grab a touchdown. He and Bo Nix have a great chemistry. I think that's really a really good thing to look at. And if Sutton's locked up with Gardner, if Gardner kind of steps up, Troy Franklin's the man. Tight end, Evan Ingram really kind of stepped up and stepped out in week number 5. I think he would be definitely a low end tight end one, a streamer for sure. So if he's available, I don't know how much, I don't know the percentage of what he's rostered on teams, but he could be available if you are in need of a, what's it called? Tight end. I keep not thinking. Someone like replacing, let's say, we're going to talk about him later, but like a Juwan Johnson who's starting to kind of fizzle out, and Evan Ingram might take over that spot and be a little bit more dynamic for you there. The defense, Denver defense is a start. They're solid, especially against the Jets. Got to start them. On the Jets side of the ball, I would say you're starting my God, you're starting Justin Fields. I cannot speak today. So many J's and J's and whatnot. Justin Fields. Yes, they're going against a tough matchup. You might be saying, Ange, if you go against the Denver defense, you don't play that player. No, that's not always the case. His legs give him that little bit of upside, right? He had 26 rushing yards in week 5. 25.92 fantasy points. Yes, some of those fantasy points were garbage time fantasy points, but it doesn't matter. Nobody asks you. We both play golf. Nobody asks you how you got the score. They ask you what the score is. So I'm going to use that same mentality here. Moving into running back, Breece Hall is a must start, even with the matchup. He is all forces go. Same with Garrett Wilson. You got to start Garrett Wilson. Who else do they really have? That's one of those options. And then someone to kind of be on the lookout and possibly stash if you're in need of a tight end would be Mason Taylor. I think he's definitely someone to watch on the waiver wire for this week. He's been getting a lot of targets opposite of Garrett Wilson from Justin Fields, so someone to keep an eye out. And I am sitting the Jets defense. They might have been great at one point. They are not so great anymore.
Yeah. Absolutely. Keep in mind, too, Mason Taylor does have a really good matchup week 7 and 8. Yep. So while this is a really hard matchup for him in week 6, if your roster can manage it, you could get him. You could maybe sit him this week if you can, right? Fannin, Njoku, all guys I would start over Mason Taylor. And even in that case, Evan Ingram, because really good matchup. However, Mason Taylor is going to be a chef's kiss play for you 7 and 8. So a little think forward, ladies. Let's do it together, shall we? That'd be a great option there too. Exactly. So I love it. All right, moving on to my next matchup here. I was going to touch my computer's touchscreen, but my other screen isn't. I was going to go touch it to move it down, but I can't do that. All right, let's go LA Rams versus the Baltimore Ravens. So for LA, I think Matt Stafford is a great streaming quarterback if your quarterback's on a bye. He's not a guy I'm starting every week, but I think this is a good option. Only thing to consider here is if the Baltimore is struggling, right? Their defense is struggling, their offense is struggling. So if the Rams go up in points far above the Baltimore Ravens earlier due to their run game, they're going to stop passing the ball aggressively. And Matt Stafford is really only relevant when he's passing the ball because he's a pocket passer. So you're only getting big point weeks like his 25.56 when he's throwing tutties. If they're up so high, they're not risking tutties being thrown, right? So you're going to see a lot of Kyron Williams and Blake Corum if they get up really high. But I still think if you need him, he's a solid stream this week. Wide receiver Puka Nacua, yes. Devontae Adams, yes. Kyron Williams, yes. At this point, Blake Corum's not getting enough work to start him, so you're going to sit him down on the bench. And there is no tight end relevance from the Rams right now. They're pretty easy. And I do love the Rams defense as a solid streaming option from a defensive standpoint against a struggling Baltimore Ravens offense. Now, the only thing to consider is maybe not if Lamar Jackson is back week 6, but if Lamar is out, yes. If Lamar is in, maybe we have some other options available. That's going to be a theme in the conversation when I talk about the Baltimore Ravens because it really is dependent on if Lamar is going to be in or not. So we don't have a quarterback decision to make if Lamar's out. If Lamar's playing, you put Lamar Jackson in your lineup. Duh. End of story. Zay Flowers is going to have that same consideration here. I consider him a start because the Rams are not great against the pass. So the Rams defense is notorious to letting up big points to the wide receiver position. So I think Zay Flowers is a fine start, even if Cooper Rush ends up being the quarterback. I like him even more if Lamar Jackson plays, but I think he's a go start for you. In my opinion, any conversation like DeAndre Hopkins is not worth having. He's a sit. This is the most interesting conversation that I didn't expect to have this year. But to me, Derrick Henry gets sat down if Lamar Jackson is not playing. And I know you're probably thinking, what the fuck are you talking about, Amanda? But like Rico Dowdle goes over him. I would play guys like Pollard over Henry. I would play Bill over Henry. I'd play Hall, Judkins, Scadaboo, Stevenson, fumble, Stevenson.
No.
All over Derrick Henry, because Derrick Henry's relevance has not been great when Lamar has not been out there. And specifically, if the Ravens get down bad, they're not going to risk Lamar Jackson, or they're not going to risk Derrick Henry. They're just going to pull him. Yeah. And he can't be involved in the run game. He's just not a pass-catching running back. So it's just, he's a sit if Lamar's out. If Lamar plays, Derrick Henry plays. If Lamar's out, I'm sitting Lamar Jackson down. The only people, I'm sorry, Derrick Henry, hello. The only people I'm starting Derrick Henry over is like, I'm going to start Derrick Henry over like a Kendre Miller or a potentially Swift, because Swift hasn't looked great as a running back. And like, I would start Henry over Henderson, just because Henderson hasn't gotten enough of the ball, in my opinion, because for some whatever Trevion Henderson is doing that makes Mike Vrabel hate him so much. Like he must be fucking shit up at practice, right? Because like, what is the reason you're people fumbly in?
Evil little things behind his back, or making fun of him, or what? Why are you punishing him?
Oh my God, I know. All right, tight end, Mark Andrews. I think there are better options out there. But again, same conversation. If Lamar goes, I think Mark Andrews is a fine play. But there are far better options out there, in my opinion, this week. So likely Mark Andrews is a sit. Oh, and the defense. No. Okay.
I'm glad you touched on that, because that's important. Okay. And then going into Dallas versus Carolina, pretty obvious starts here. You got to start Dak Prescott, doing great. Another great year, another great start in week number 5, going into week number 6. Javonte Williams, full on beast mode alert. I mean, every time I look at the TV, that man's doing some magical thing, running freaking through people. So definitely got to start Javonte Williams going into this week. George Pickens is another start. Now you got to kind of watch, because we don't know the comeback of CeeDee Lamb. So if CeeDee Lamb is back, you got to start CeeDee Lamb, right? Now I think George Pickens is still a good start. I think that he formed a good bond with Dak Prescott when CeeDee was out. So I think he's still an obviously start. Don't say CeeDee's in, bench Pickens, but something to look out for. I'm not saying to pick this guy up, but I think it's something that we need to at least touch on. Okay. And you so nicely put how to say the name, because I got you. Right. So, but now I can't find that part of the notes. So Ryan Flournoy. Okay. He stepped in. Okay, there were some injured, I think Tolbert or Turpin or one of the T's was out, right? And CeeDee was out. He really stepped in. But again, we talk about this shiny object syndrome, right? Don't go running to the waiver wire and saying, I'm picking up Ryan Flournoy or whatever the heck his name is, right? He could be a bye week filler. Maybe you stash him, but CeeDee's not going to be out. I don't really see much of things happening with Tolbert and Turpin anyways. So, I mean, I think between the two of them for the last couple of weeks, they've only had like maybe 1-digit numbers. So he might maybe step in. And that's what I think my most favorite thing about this season has been, we've seen guys who maybe wouldn't have had a chance, have a chance and step up big. And then the tight end position, Jake Ferguson is a start. He is a beast at tight end. Got to get him in. And then I would be a little bit cautious with the Cowboys defense. They're looking a little bit better. They're looking better than I think everyone thought they were going to be. I thought everyone thought they were going to be big old booty hole. They did just face the Jets though, so not something to be really great about. So I would probably sit to the Cowboys defense. On the other side of the coin here, we got Bryce Young at quarterback for Carolina. I think he's a risky streamer. I would sit him, but if you really, really need someone, I think he kind of is starting to maybe open his eyes like a little baby. Come here.
Into the world. He is a little baby face Bryce Young.
He has a picture on Sleeper, just so happy. It makes me happy when I look at it.
I'm just like, he looks like a little boy. Okay.
Yes. He only threw over 198 yards, 2 touchdowns. So he's not doing anything great. So, if you need a starter, like if you have CJ Stroud for some reason and you need someone to fill your spot, Bryce Young could be the guy.
I will say, Bryce Young is facing the number 1 worst defense against the quarterback in the Dallas Cowboys. So, it would be clench the booty cheeks risky. But if you're like, fuck it, I'm already losing by like eons, and you need to take a risk, maybe
it could pay off. Correct. Wide receiver, Ted McMillan is a start. I know we've been a little bit disappointed. I've heard lots and lots of things of people being like, whoa, Ted should be better than this. I think he's being solid. He's solid. Mm-hmm. He's going to course. Start him. And then we got to watch out for the fiery, spicy Rico Suave himself here, Rico Dowdle. And Amanda said it earlier, it is a revenge game for him. So he's going into Dallas kind of trying to shut up people saying shut up the Dallas saying, you dropped me, you traded me, you got rid of me. Hello, I'm back. So if Chuba Hubbard is out, someone to really plug in is Dowdle. Even like Amanda said, if Chuba's still in, I think they're still going to utilize Dowdle from that big old ass week 5. Absolutely. Tommy Tremble, I thought was going to be a great thing. I almost picked him as my spicy pig last week. I'm glad I didn't. But I would sit him. Nothing really that great to talk about at the tight end position. Guys like Dalton Schultz or really even Mason Taylor are someone to look at over someone like Tommy Tremble. And then I'm going to sit the Panthers defense.
Dalton Schultz is on a bye though. So
I'm sorry. Yes. Just in general, I'm looking at him over him.
I'm thinking like Travis Kelce, even though it'd be a little risky, I'd still go over him. Even like a Mark Andrews, I would go over him at this point. So yeah. All right, moving on to the Arizona Cardinals versus the Indianapolis Colts. All right, so we are watching the Cardinals go against a good Indianapolis Colts defense. They've been good. I think the Cardinals are going to continue to struggle this week. So I'm sitting Kyler Murray. Not only is there an injury risk there that we talked about earlier in this episode, I'm just also not going to trust him right now. He hasn't been connecting with his offense. He hasn't looked good either. He honestly just looks a little scared. And I don't think he's a good start this week. So I'm going to go ahead and sit him down. In regards to Marvin Harrison Jr., you've got to start him. It's not really an option for you to sit him, in my opinion. Again, at least he scored 13.8 points. If he would have ended up getting into the end zone, which so many people were pissed because that didn't end up becoming a touchdown. And then did Michael Carter snipe it from him? Somebody sniped it from him, but nonetheless, got that snipey tutty. But Marvin still looked good. So Michael Carter is a start. Just keep in mind that the Colts are very good against the run. So like I would taper your expectations. And there's guys like Scattaboo, Pollard, Dowdle. I'd all start over Michael Carter. So if you have the availability, cool, do that. But I would start Carter over someone like who's splitting time like a Kendre Miller. So just taper your expectations. He's probably not going to have quite as good of a week, but yeah, DeMar, you can just go ahead and like forget about him. I don't even know if he's going to be on their team anymore. Like they might just be like,
him
goodbye.
Like he dropped that damn ball.
Drop it like it's hot, baby. Goodbye. Trey McBride is still your positive upside tight end. I think sometimes people can get very nervous about some of these guys, but like think about Trey McBride in the same light you think about Brock Bowers. If Brock Bowers is healthy, you're playing Brock Bowers. If Trey McBride is healthy, you're playing Trey McBride. So don't give up on him. Keep starting him as well. And then again, the defense is not something that I would really consider looking at, in my opinion, against a thriving Daniel Jones. So moving on to the Indianapolis Colts and Danny Dimes, baby, you can go ahead and start his ass. He still looks great. Obviously at 212 passing yards, would have been a little bit more upside if he could have thrown a couple more touchdowns, but nonetheless, I'm happy with it. And Michael Pittman, great start. Watch his injury as well. Just something to keep in mind. So Michael Pittman Jr., right? Or is it Michael Pittman?
Yeah, it's Junior.
Okay. So Michael Pittman Jr. start. Jonathan Taylor, motherfucker. If you drafted him, I'm jealous. I'm very, very jealous of you. He's great. Okay, cool. Tyler Warren, same thing. Auto start. And you're not even going to think about starting any of these other like midline, like Theo Johnson, Mason Taylor. Don't you dare think about starting them over a Tyler Warren. I don't give a flying fuck about their one high 20-point week. Don't let that distract you. You're going with your consistent Tyler Warren, okay? The only player to have a conversation about is Josh Downs. He is on the field, right? He is having more relevance due to Alec Pierce being out with a concussion for several weeks now. So if Alec Pierce comes back, I'm probably not going to start Josh Downs. But if you need a solid floor flex, if you got a lot of guys on bye or injury and you're really desperate, Josh Downs might be out there on free agency, waivers, whatever. And so he could be a pickup and flex player this week. Just taper your expectations. You're probably going to look at a consistent like 5 to 10 points as his like floor. He doesn't have too much bang bust upside unless he gets in the end zone. He did get in the end zone last week and he still only had 11 points. So just something to think about. I would start like a Shaheed over Downs. I would go Wan'Dale Robinson over Downs as well. AJ Brown, obviously over Downs. Devontae Smith over Downs. So just all of that kind of stuff to keep in mind there. And then I do love the Colts defense as a streaming option against the Cardinals as well. So I think that would be a fine stream for you if you need a guy or need a defense this week as well.
Just one guy plays on the defense.
Just one guy. Just one whole guy.
Wow.
Runs that motherfucking
whole guy. All right, let's move into Seattle Seahawks versus Jacksonville Jaguars. On the Seattle side, I think Sam Darnold is doing great things, right? Threw for 341 yards, plus added 24 rushing yards, which I didn't think old Sam Darnold could get his legs moving. No, he's not that old. I always get him mixed up with the other. Okay, this is a serious debate that we have to have a little minute. How many redheaded quarterbacks can you name? A lot, right? There's a lot of them.
I mean, relevant right now?
Yes. I mean, okay, because I was having this debate with my husband, and he's like, "There's not that many," and then they kept popping up.
Andy Dalton, like, Carson Wentz.
See,
is Sam Darnold redheaded?
I think so.
Is he? I just thought he had brown hair.
Maybe it's like when your husband, like the right light.
Yeah, only red in a certain light.
Anyways,
or maybe you're just like
maybe, and I'm just like, you know, when you like see something and then you always see it. That's what it is. Okay, so Sam Darnold is someone to definitely talk about. Impressive numbers. I would say that he's a legitimate streaming option for week number 6. You would really go in with confidence with him. He takes deep shots. He's not afraid to go long, connect with those guys. Next up, JSN. Really not too much to talk about here. He's a must start, right? He is the number 1 on that team. Cooper Kupp is a little bit more of a conversation. He didn't put up too bad of numbers in week 5, but I think of him as like a break glass in case of emergency kind of guy, right?
Correct.
You don't need him. You don't need Cooper Kupp. At running back, oh man, Kenneth Walker should be the guy, should be the lead back.
Just
give him the damn ball.
In on the fucking goal line. My God.
Exactly. Like what did he do that they're like, nope, bloop, 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 and take him out? So he is a must start, but you have to kind of talk about Zach Charbonnet. But Zach Charbonnet is also kind of a touchdown or bust kind of dude, right? He's there getting those touchdowns. If you have him and you need him in a pinch, I guess you can pop him in. But he's going to get you some reliable points.
10 rushing attempts for Kenneth Walker, 86 yards on the rush. Now we go to Sharps, 9 rushing attempts, 36. Whoop, whoop. Like you can't even bust through the line. No. And Kenny's over here like, boom, and like dodging around, guys. Get my boy in the game, damn it. You can tell I have Kenneth Walker on my team, yes?
Yes, I agree. And then at tight end, AJ Barner, he's doing some great things. He went 7 for 7, 53 yards, 2 touchdowns last week. That's 24 fantasy football points. If you're desperate, I don't hate it. He could be a good stream. I know I have Dalton Schultz on my team. He's on a bye, like we mentioned earlier. AJ Barner might flip right in there for me. We'll see. But defensively, Seattle's been, holding it down. They're solid against the run, creating turnovers. They might be someone I look at. Might be a sneaky good matchup for them. So for Jacksonville. And then on the Jacksonville side, we saw Trevor Lawrence do pretty great things last night, right? 221 yards, 3 total touchdowns. I think he is a great streaming option as well. I think he's showing his good stuff. At wide receiver, Brian Thomas Jr. is starting to kind of show signs of life. Like, right, he's had 4 catches for 80 yards. I think he's a solid start for this week. Going into Travis Hunter, we're not starting Travis Hunter. I'm sitting Travis Hunter. If you really need a bye week filler, okay, I guess you can run the risk with them.
Josh Downs, Shaheed, both over Hunter, in my opinion.
True. You're right, right. He just really isn't reliable. His usage is still just really too up and down for me personally. And for the backfield, Travis Etienne is really the guy, right? He's showing up. I thought they were going to kind of put Tootin, they were going to Tootin right in there, but they decided, Etienne's too good for that. So he also has that receiving upside, which makes him a start. And then Brenton Strange, we kind of talked about it, left early on in that game. So womp, someone to probably get rid of and replace.
Yeah.
And then the Jacksonville defense, they can be a little bit hit or miss. I probably wouldn't run the risk with them. I'd probably sit them.
Yeah, they got hot this week.
They did.
Obviously that pick 6 off of Patty was a nice little upside if you ended up streaming Jacksonville. Not terrible. I mean, it's an option. Seattle's looked good on offense. So it's kind of like a hit or miss. Do what you feel right there. I agree.
Exactly.
I agree. All right, LA Chargers versus the Miami Dolphins. Let's get into the Chargers. I know Herbert's been a letdown for y'all a couple weeks in a row. I do like him this week. I think there are better streaming options out there. So I might even go Sam Darnold over Justin Herbert. I might go Stafford over Justin Herbert as well. I would go Goff over Herbert this week, Fields over Herbert, Bo Nix over Herbert, Dak over Herbert, May over Herbert. I would go Herbert over Purdy. I would go Herbert over Kyler for sure. This is an easier matchup defensively for Herbert. Again, like Miami's defense has been struggling. So this is a good matchup for the passing game. The only issue is Justin Herbert's O-line is massively injured and struggling big time. So what we're currently worrying about is he's not able to get time to have those deep pass balls. So he's having to check down, which we saw happen with Ladd McConkey, right? We saw Ladd McConkey get more involved because Justin Herbert's rushed. He has to get rid of the motherfucking ball more. However, the reason that I like Justin Herbert is because he's going to have to pass more with Omar and Hampton out and now on IR. So it's really just like a hit or miss. It's a very, very risky stream start if you want to go that direction. However, there's other guys who are not risky starts. Ladd McConkey, start him this week. Hampton is out. He's going to have to be involved more in the short pass game. And again, because of the O-line issues for Herbert, Ladd McConkey is great. Keenan Allen, still great. Keenan Allen and Ladd McConkey share the same role, shorter passes. So those two guys are great starts. Again, for everything I already mentioned, something to keep in mind though, deep threat is now at risk. Quentin Johnston, his relevance is now going to be threatened due to the O-line issues. Justin Herbert's not getting enough time to pass, meaning those deep threat balls that Quentin Johnston, that's his role, right? He doesn't play short game. He plays the long game. He's now going to be threatened by that. So this is a guy I'm probably going to start to think about maybe sitting down. And again, Keenan Allen, Ladd McConkey would come above him just due to what they're dealing with on that side of the football. Or Marion Hampton on IR. I'm really not going to look at Kamani Vidal or Hassan Haskins unless you're like absolutely desperate. These are guys that like I would like to see a little bit from before I even attempt to start them. Could they potentially be someone you pick in free agency if they don't go on waivers and you're like, fuck it, no risk. I got rid of Hampton. I pick this guy up and let's see what happens in week 6. Sure, go for it. I'm not going to start them in week 6 though. And there's really no fantasy tight end relevance at this time. Moving on to the Miami Dolphins. So again, Tua Tagovailoa looked fine. He's still not someone I'm super excited about streaming because I worry about the consistency of him being able to perform like that. So I'm probably going to sit him. The Chargers defense isn't terrible either. So probably not someone I'm super excited about starting in week number 6. Jalen Waddle though, yeah, I love seeing getting targeted this much. However, Jalen Waddle is kind of like a glass. Every time he goes down, you are kind of holding your breath praying that he is not injured. Like every time he gets a normal hit, he like gets helped off the field and I'm like, good God, but then he comes back. So I think Jalen Waddle is a great start. Just like hold your breath with me that he doesn't get hurt. Malik Washington is not a start for me at this point. He is a full sit, so I wouldn't even think about that. Achane, easy, yeah. Ollie Gordon, no. Darren Waller, yes, absolutely, yes. You're putting him above Johnson. You're putting him above Andrews. You're putting him above Kelsey this week. He is an integral part of that offense with Tyreek Hill going out. That's what you kind of want to think about with tight ends is, are they really an integral part of the offense or not? And Darren Waller is. He's going to need to continue to be involved, so we love him. Miami defense is not a streaming option.
No. And then one of our favorite games of the week, Cleveland versus Pittsburgh. Woo, woo, woo. And Amanda gets to go to this game.
I'm going to be at the game. Yes.
But anyways, so this is our favorite. So if you are on our Patreon, we are going to drop some photos of us in our vintage Steeler gear.
Vintage Steelers gear.
We Angela and we Amanda. I think it's going to be a fun look at. So check that out if you are part of our Patreon. But let's start with the Cleveland Browns. Dillon Gabriel, I don't think looked bad stepping in as that rookie quarterback. 2 touchdowns, 190 yards. Just not a guy that you're starting. You're clearly sitting him, but you could put him on your watch list if you really need to, but I probably wouldn't. You are sitting Jerry Jeudy. You are sitting Isaiah Bond, who is, I think, a good stash player. I know I have him stashed on my bench, possibly for later in the season, but nobody else has really given me good hopes for the Cleveland offense. You're going to start Quinshon Judkins. Really no question there. He is, like Amanda said, the light on the Cleveland Browns. Poopy whole team. And then the fun part is the tight ends. And I was so excited to finally see my man, David Njoku, do his David Njoku things. He was jumping over people. He was flipping around. He was doing great. And also Harold Fannin. I think they are both great. Steelers are terrible against the tight ends, so something to think about. Both Njoku and Fannin are both startable in this week. And of course, you have to start the Cleveland defense. They are superb. They are great. They are shutting down the run and holding opponents to well under 100 yards rushing. Moving into the Pittsburgh Steelers, Aaron Rodgers is a sit. We're not going with Aaron Rodgers. Not doing terrible things, but don't really think that he's very fantasy relevant at this point. DK Metcalf is definitely a start for me. Great receiver there. Jaylen Warren's where we kind of have a little discussion, right? We're watching his injury. It was kind of good that they had that bye week last week to maybe give a little bit more recovery time, but we're still on the lookout for, is he going to be back in week 6 or not? So if he is, and you're in a 12-team league, that's probably the only option you got, right? You have Jaylen Warren, said Waddle, you got to put him in. But you got to taper your expectations just a little bit. The Browns defense, run defense is elite. So there's something to think. Yes, Warren kind of has that upside of a receiving back, but with the injury, how much is that going to happen? We're not really sure, right? Kenneth Gainwell, probably would not sit him in this particular matchup, or probably would not start him. I would sit him in this particular matchup, even if Warren can't go. Matchup's a little too brutal for him. We're not even going to talk about Jonnu Smith. Really no relevance there. And the Steelers defense, I don't know. I mean, going up against a rookie quarterback, I think that's a good thing, right? Yeah. Still finding itself. It's kind of coming alive again. I would love to see my imaginary husband. That's my dream bubble going up. TJ Watt. Just on Dylan Gabriel.
I'm calling TJ Watt at least 3 sacks. Let's go. Welcome to the NFL, Dylan Gabriel.
I'm gonna go the over on that. I'm gonna go the over on that.
Okay. I love it.
All right. Yeah. So that kind of wraps up.
Yes, I think the Steelers defense is a clear stream this week. Let's see what Dylan Gabriel is really made of, baby.
Yeah. So that wraps up our fun little rivalry game there.
Rivalry game of the week, baby. All right, San Fran versus Tampa. Let's get into San Fran. Mac Jones is not a conversation. Monitor Brock Purdy's health. If Brock Purdy goes, maybe a streaming quarterback option. I'd still think I'd play guys over him. I always get worried about playing a guy right back off of injury, worried about re-aggravating, exiting the game early, so taper expectations there. Again, Stafford, Caleb Williams, May, all over Purdy, in my opinion. Here, even maybe Trevor Lawrence over Purdy. If you're looking for someone like a little bit, out there to start over Purdy, that would be an option there too. Kendrick Bourne, he is only going to be a startable player if Pearsall and or Jennings is out. If one of those two guys is out, I think Kendrick Bourne's a great play here. If both of those guys are back, I'm not going to start Kendrick Bourne. He's not going to be used. He's basically a very big Band-Aid. And we just don't know. You got to monitor health. If those guys are out, go ahead and start him. If one of those guys are out, go ahead and start him. If both guys are playing, I wouldn't even worry about it. If Ricky Pearsall or Jawan Jennings play, you can go ahead and start both of those guys as well. Demarcus Robinson is a sit wide receiver from the 49ers. No, CMC, duh. Get him in your lineup. We'd love to see it. My spicy star of the week, Jake Tonjes. You came in clutch, baby boy. You crushed the game. I'll be honest. I was like having a bunch of conversations with my husband when we were going over game notes and predictions and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, you know what? Jake Tonjes is a name that keeps coming up to me. And he's like, I think that's a really good spicy start of the week. So we'll give him a little credit because we were having a lot of banter between who we should make the spicy start of the week. And he's like, I like it too. And I was like, all right, fuck it. Let's go. And I think he's another great play this week as well. Until Kittle's out, you can roll it back on my boy Jake Tonjes as much as you'd like. Streaming the defense is not an option versus Tampa Bay, in my opinion. Moving over to Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield, the Bulldog Baker Mayfield himself. You just keep on going ahead and getting him in your lineup. I know we've all been nervous about injuries and all this kind of shit. Baker said, hold my beer. Yeah. I got it, guys. Don't worry about it. He's a beast. Yeah. We love to see it. Abakabuka, the man that you are. I love you. He's doing so great. Love to see him in the
rookie of the week every single week.
Every single week. 31 fantasy points. I love you to death. Keep doing it. Keep putting him in. You can go ahead and sit Chris Godwin, though. I just don't think he's quite there yet. I don't think he's fully healthy yet either, so he's not someone I'm excited about. I'm not excited about Sterling Shepard. I'm going to sit him down. Rashad White, absolutely. Looks like Bucky's going to be out for a while, so he's an easy start. And the conversation of Cade Otton, he now does become more relevant in their offense. So I do like Cade Otton this week. I would go Tonjes over Otton, but I would go Otton over Andrews, specifically if Lamar Jackson does not play. However, I would play both Cleveland tight ends over Cade Otton. So just some contextual stuff to keep in mind. And the Tampa Bay defense, I mean, they could be a potential stream this week. I might pass on them, but if you're desperate, they could be out there. I think there's better options out there, though.
All right, moving into New England, New Orleans. On the New England side, you're going to start Drake May. Drake May's been doing great things. He only put up 12 fantasy football points in week 5, but I'm starting him because of his rushing floor. If you're streaming a quarterback, someone to look at if you need a quarterback. Stephon Diggs, I think, is a must start. I think he's kind of showing us that he is that dude, right? Target hog, awesome revenge game that he had in week number 5. I think he's going to keep continuing that as we go through the season. I'm kind of forgetting about Kayshon Boutte, just sitting him. Nothing really fabulous and fantastic there except his name. And then in the backfield, we got some shuffling around, right? So Antonio Gibson is out with a season-ending ACL injury. So that means that now we only have a 2-back committee, right? But for some, like Amanda said, for godforsaken reason, Mike Vrabel loves Ramondre Stevenson, and something is not right with Travion Henderson. But that does kind of help both of them in a little tiny bit of a way, right? So Stevenson might be that main back. Henderson's going to step in as that secondary back as well. So I would probably start Stevenson, sit Henderson in this situation. And then at tight end, Hunter Henry it should be a start. Okay. Another great game, 2 catches, 87 yards. He's reliable, especially in the end zone. Good matchup this week for him. And then at the defense, I wouldn't sleep on the Patriots defense. I think they're startable. They're always startable, I think. They've been holding strong across the board. So I would start them if you are looking for a defense or you have them as your defense. And then on the other side of the ball, New Orleans Saints. Spencer Rattler is a clear sit. We're not really trusting him yet. And the receiving room, Chris Olave is definitely a start. His volume keeps him solid. He is great against the New England secondary. Even though they are strong, he's going to be great against them. I think he gets the volume that deserves it. Rashid Shaheed's kind of that boomer bust. We saw the boom last week, right? Are we going to see the bust this week with harder defense? We will see. And then going into running backs. Oh boy. Okay. So I have Alvin Kamara, and I want Alvin Kamara to do great Alvin Kamara things, but he's just hasn't been lighting it up yet, right? We want to see him light it up, and he's kind of now sharing those touches with Kendre Miller in the backfield. I think Kamara is still a start. I think Kendre Miller, if you need him, if you are in a desperate situation like Amanda was last week, I think he is a fine start as well. And then the tight end situation. Juwan Johnson isn't doing great things like he was. He was on fire for the first couple weeks of the season. I would sit him now. He's kind of over. He fizzled out. And then we have talk about Taysom Hill. We have talk about Foster Moreau. Don't start either of them. Do not trust in him. Absolutely no.
Too many questions of like, are we picking up? We're not picking up Taysom Hill. You are never gonna predict when it's his week, and you don't want to try because you could get goose egg by him. You don't. He's gonna have a badass fantasy week. Let it go. Right. Let it live and be lived, okay?
It's going to be one done for him.
Yeah, but it probably is time for you guys to move on from Juwan Johnson. He served a purpose, but there's better options out there at this point.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next matchup here. Let's go Cincinnati versus Green Bay. All right, welcome to quarterback Joe Flacco, but you're not starting. Okay, cool. Jamar Chase, you can keep, you're not sitting him. You're not going to be able to. No. Your roster doesn't allow it, so you can go ahead and give him the start. Joe Flacco, in my opinion, does elevate T. Higgins slightly. It gives me a little bit more confidence, let's say. Like we were all saved by the T. Higgins touchdown. I literally was cheering, so I was very happy about it. I still think there's other guys out there. Like I'm not trying to start T. Higgins unless I have to start T. Higgins. So like if your roster can allow you to sit him, I would suggest it because again, he's not as reliable as he once was due to the issues with the quarterback room. Chase Brown, I don't really want to start him against the Green Bay defense. The Green Bay defense is great. I really don't want to start Chase Brown. I would sit him this week. I would even go as far as saying I would probably take a flyer on like Kendre Miller over Chase Brown. I am heavily worried about his effectiveness. He hasn't been effective against mediocre defenses. So cool. Not a really tight end streaming option there, in my opinion, either. In regards to the Green Bay Packers coming off of a bye week, Jordan Love, I love this week. Give him the start. I think he's going to be a great option. I think Dubs is also a great option. I would go Dubs over Higgins, Dubs over Golden, also a Green Bay receiver, Dubs over Coleman, Dubs over Shakir. So like keep all of that in mind. I would definitely give
it.
Romeo
Dubs. Dubs or Dobbs?
Oh, I could be totally wrong.
I've heard Dobbs a lot.
Romeo Dobbs. Romeo Dobbs.
Like,
Dobbs. Dubby Dobbs. whoever you are, Romeo, I can give him the start. I would sit Golden. He's such a situational start or a flex simply just because he's very boomer bust. He has a very, 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 very low floor. Like he could goose egg you. He has a high ceiling because he could get in the end zone multiple times. To me, he does become a sit unless you're desperate, but I would go like Shaheed over Golden in my opinion. I might go Golden over Downs if you're losing. Like if if you're going to lose your week and you're like, I need a guy to bust out, Golden could be the guy that busts out. But I wouldn't start him unless I absolutely am desperate for a win and I need to take a flyer. I'm absolutely starting Josh Jacobs and I'm absolutely starting Tucker Kraft. Don't even deny it. Start the defense too. Go in there and absolutely let the Green Bay rail the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay, cool. We'd love to see it.
Chicago Bears, Washington Commanders, next matchup. For Chicago, Caleb Williams is a must start. He is doing great things. He is a must start here as a quarterback. Wide receiver room, Rome Odunze, again, must start, has elevated himself into that wide receiver run role. Now, DJ Moore, in my opinion, is a little bit more of a situational player, situational start only. If you compare him to other matchups, like McMillan, you're starting McMillan over Moore, right? You're there. He's in the same tier. Xavier Worthy, I would start over DJ Moore, right? A little bit more reliable. Moore over Ridley. I would probably go Moore over Ridley for sure, but Calvin Ridley had a little bit of a moment. So that might be a little bit shaky over there, but not really a plug and play player. And then at running back, DeAndre Swift, maybe borderline flex. He hasn't been doing great things, but he has the passing game upside. So that kind of keeps him a little bit more relevant. Compare him to guys like Breece Hall or David Montgomery or even Travion Henderson. I would probably say those are a little bit better options maybe than DeAndre Swift. And then tight ends are really not relevant in the Bears for the Bears. And then Chicago's defense, they have a defense? Oh, I didn't know they had a defense.
Did they?
Oh,
yeah. They don't roster anyone.
They're weak. Do not start them. Washington Commanders, Jaden Daniels is a must start. I think he's going to be even healthier going into week number 6, which is even going to be better for him. He ran 39 yards with that big old cast on his leg or big old thing on his leg. So
run it up,
he's
baby.
A monster. Yes. As wide receivers, we're watching Terry McLaurin's status. If he's back, he is a start. If not, obviously you're sitting him. But Deebo Samuel has been so reliable. I think he is a must start as well. Even if McLaurin were in, Deebo is still a start. Consistent for me and Deebo Samuel. Running backs, we know Bill is the man, right? Bill is the start. We're kind of thinking in the past of that committee running back situation. So forget about guys like Chris Rodriguez. Forget about guys like Jeremy McNichols. And then the tight end, Zach Ertz, blah, 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 womp, womp, womp. Even though they're going up against the Chicago Bears defense, I still would sit him. Big old goose
you, baby.
Do not gamble there with Zach Ertz. We were talking highly of Zach Ertz, but womp, womp. Okay. Is that, and then Washington's defense. Forgot about Washington's defense. I would also sit them. Not really offering a lot of fantasy upside this week. I'd leave them on the bench.
I agree. All right, Detroit Lions versus a Kansas City Chiefs should be a fun matchup here as well. Jared Goff is a fine start this week. I would go Goff over Murray personally. I would play Mahomes over Goff though, so just some things to consider there. But I think this is a fine start to the week. It is going to be a difficult matchup for both of these quarterbacks though. Amon-Ra St. Brown is an easy start, so I wouldn't even consider that. I would sit Jameson Williams though. He's very risky at this point. I'd like to see him perform a little bit. And again, Kansas City is good against the wide receiver, so I'm not really going to take my flyer on Jameson Williams this week. Monty and Gibbs are both starts this week. Gibbs is a no-brainer. I think Monty is a fine stream this week again as well, so I'm not overly worried about either of those guys. ETN did fine against Kansas City, and his run game was decent, so I think Monty and Gibbs are both fair there. I would sit Laporta down this week. I know he's coming off of a really good week, but the Kansas City Chiefs is the third best defense against the tight end. We've got to weigh that into our considerations here, so I'm not excited about Laporta this week. And again, I'm excited about the Lions defense, so I would consider them someone to start even against Kansas City, right? I think they could add a lot of pressure down Patrick Mahomes' throat, causing him to get the ball out earlier, maybe causing some turnover. So I think they're a fine streaming defensive option. Over on the Kansas City side of the football, we got Patrick Mahomes. Clear start for me. He's been performing very, very well, so keep giving him the go. Xavier Worthy, if he plays, yes, just keep monitoring his health. He got banged up again this week, so it's just always going to be something you're worried about. But if he plays, yes, I think he's a great start. I'm sitting Hollywood Brown. I'm not giving him the go. Tyquan Thornton, huge boomer bust, dude. So again, this is not someone I'm eager to start because we're just never going to know if that consistency is going to be alive or not. So I'm going to sit him, but just keep your eye on him because I don't think he's someone that we should stop mentioning altogether, in my opinion. Pacheco, the Lions are really good against the running back, so I'm not excited to start Pacheco this week. I would sit him down. If I'm going to give a guy a go, I might take a shot on Kyron Kareem Hunt. I think he's a solid option. Like I said, the Lions are good against the run, but I like the power back situation of Hunt. So I think if you need it, also his goal line touches are there. So he's been getting the goal line touches. So again, if you're desperate in the running back room, you just pray they put Kareem Hunt in to score some touchdowns. Again, Kelsey, risky start this week. Lions are really good against the tight end position. Like I said, both defenses are very good. So this is going to be a risky start if you do it. I would probably opt to sit him week 6. Ferguson, Fannin, Njoku, Tonjes, Kraft all would come before Kelsey this week, just to keep that in mind. And I'm not overly eager to start the Kansas City Chiefs defense against the very explosive Lions offense. So probably not an option for me this week.
Okay. My last matchup here is Atlanta Falcons, Buffalo Bills. Starting on the Atlanta side, Michael Penix Jr. maybe had a little bit of a flash of hope there in week number 4 because they were on bye last week, but I would still sit him. Buffalo has a top pass defense. Nothing really good's going to come out of that, in my opinion. Wide receivers, you're starting Drake London. Yes, there's that tough matchup, but he's definitely the wide receiver 1 play. He's reliable, right? Darnell Mooney's returning in week number 6 after injury. He might be a deep threat depending on what your roster needs. You might see him as a possible flex, but nothing really to write home about there. Bijan Robinson is a must start all day, every day. Why not? Buffalo is really not the greatest against the run, so he should even thrive even more. Kyle Pitts, I'm going to say is a start. Yes, their pass coverage is solid, but I'm still starting Pitts here. Is the top target for Atlanta's offense along with Drake London. So in the red zone, I think Pitts thrives, so he's going to do good things. Atlanta defense, again, not really great for fantasy here. Run defense is poor, might be exploited by the Buffalo Bills rushing attack and James Cook, so putting him on my bench. On the Buffalo Bills side, really don't have to even talk about Josh Allen. You were starting Josh Allen. In the wide receiver room, things get a little bit iffy here. So between Khalil Shakir and Keon Coleman, I'm going Khalil Shakir as my start for sure. Same. He's a very solid wide receiver 3. He can be in that flex position for you. He's a reliable for PPR leagues. Keon Coleman's a little bit more volatile here, right? He's limited by passing yards, hasn't been doing that much stuff. He did have a touchdown in week number 5. That is what got him those points, in my opinion.
Yeah. Also, he was suspended from the first half of the game. So,
okay. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And they didn't tell us why. So
the same thing with Jordan Addison. What are we doing? Well, he missed a walkthrough, but really, guys, again, multi-million-dollar
your
players.
motherfucking job. Yes. Okay.
Your job. It's your job. I don't not come to my job every day. Okay. Running back James Cook, automatic start. He's going to bounce back. Don't be worried about that dip in production in week number 5. Do not worry at all. And then tight end Dalton Kincaid is also a must start for you. He is a safe tight end option there. Buffalo Bills defense, I'm going to start them. They're elite overall. They might be a little bit limited in fantasy football points, but they're going to kind of, I think, shine in this week matchup.
All right, last matchup, we have the Tennessee Titans versus the Las Vegas Raiders. So obviously we saw the Tennessee Titans get their first win, which congrats to them. Like I said, already said, hate to see a team go 0-5. Cam Ward, though, don't even, no, don't worry about it. Tony Pollard, I think he's a fine stream. His consistency has been a little bit down, so he's someone I'm a touch worried about. And Tajay Spears is set to make even more of an impact this week. We saw 4 carries for 14 yards last week in week 5. I'm going to see that uptick in week number 6. So I'm not extremely hot on Pollard. I might consider starting to think about other options over him and just getting your roster prepared for potentially lack of relevance as the season progresses. So just something to keep in mind there as well. In regards to the wide receiver room for the Tennessee Titans, we finally, spicy start of the week from week 4, Calvin Ridley, who was absolute booty hole, ended up making an appearance in week number 5. Does he listen to the podcast? Probably not. But if you do, Calvin, that's cool because he decided to come out and show up. 5 out of 10 5 receptions, 131 yards, 18 fantasy points, no touchdowns. My God, Calvin. Do I think this matchup is particularly terrible for him? No. I'm just a little bit worried. Will he continue that or not? I'd like to see another week of this before I make any bets there. I'm not going to consider Tyler Lockett at this point. Alec Iomanner, he just had a down week. I don't think he's going to have a consistent downtime, but he's probably someone that I'm not overly excited about starting. Just again, due to the volatile part of their offense, it's hard to really give any of these guys a consistent full-chested start. And I would definitely think any wide receiver 1 over Alec Iomanner. So yes, I would even think T. Higgins over Alec Iomanner right now, just until I see a little bit more consistency from their offense there too. In regards to tight end positions from the Tennessee Titans, I'm not looking at anything there. I'm also not overly overly eager about the Tennessee Titans. I am overly eager about the Tennessee Titans defense because they're going up Geno pick interception man Smith himself. Okay. So I am actually excited about the Tennessee Titans defense because Geno Smith has thrown 9 interceptions this season thus far. 9. It's week 6, guys. That's absolutely asinine. So I like the Tennessee Titans this week in regards to a defensive stream. Moving on to the Vegas Raiders, we have Geno Smith. No. Easy, right? We don't even talk about it because, no, that's a weird start. We're not doing that. Moving over to Ashton Genty. Yes, absolutely. He didn't get in the end zone this week. He still scored 15.9 points. They're going to have to keep using him because Geno Smith cannot throw the football. Our wide receiver room here, we've got Trey Tucker, Jacoby Myers. Those are going to be the only 2 guys I really even have a conversation about. I'm going to lean Myers over Tucker just because technically Myers is the wide receiver 1. Tucker is not the wide receiver 1, right? So we should see consistent targets for Jacoby Myers as opposed to Trey Tucker. Trey Tucker outscored Jacoby Myers this week. I'd still take the bet on Myers before Tucker, but I'm also not super duper excited about their wide receiver offensive room. Again, they're facing the Tennessee Titans, who haven't been outstanding on defense, but Geno Smith's going to throw picks. So if I had to lean a guy, I'd go Myers over Tucker, but I'm probably not excited to start either of them. And then again, tight end room, really no one to talk about in the world of tight ends. And I couldn't even say this one tight end's name. Guabam. No. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. It's bad. Couldn't even say it. And then I'm also not excited about the Raiders defense. I know they're facing the Tennessee Titans. And usually I'm any team facing the Tennessee Titans stream their defense. I'm probably going to pass on that this week. Let's just go ahead and let this week go. I would start the Tennessee Titans defense though, not the Las Vegas Raiders defense. Okay, cool. So that is our relevance on all of our week 6 matchups, baby. That is it. Now, I think our favorite part of the show. Let's do some sweet and spicy starts of the week. And kick us off with your sweet start of the week.
My sweet start of the week is my good old Bill Krosky-Merritt. He is finally feeling like a plug-and-play player, right? He's going against Chicago, who's the 5th easiest against the run, and he has that easy matchup is going to just be even sweeter for Bill. So, Bill Krosky-Merritt, my sweet start of the week.
I love it. My sweet starts of the week, because I think they're one and the same. Fannin and Njoku, Harold Fannin Jr., David Njoku, both sweet starts of the week, facing a Pittsburgh off defense who is terrible against the tight end position. We saw Hunter Henry absolutely eat them up, and I have a feeling that they are going to be doing the same. So love them as a sweet start of the week, an easy stream for you in the tight end position. Finally, we can rely on something from the Cleveland Browns offense, my friends. All right, how about your spicy start of the week? Who are we going with?
My spicy start of the week is Trey Tucker. So we just had a conversation about those receivers on the Las Vegas Raiders. He could be a short-term player if you need it, but he also is a very boom or bust player, right? So this is a very, very spicy one, ghost pepper, habanero, hot. Okay, we've seen his flashy side. I think it's possible to do it again. Yes, Geno has been underwhelming, throwing lots of picks, but maybe first the Titans, who maybe are riding a little high on we won, look at us, we have one win. Maybe they take them down a notch and say, no, you still aren't good. So that's my thought. What's your spicy
That's our thought process there.
That's how I think through. That's how I think through most things. So
I love it. All right, my spicy start of the week is Troy Franklin with the Denver Broncos. We have seen Sauce Gardner shut down his shadowed receiver every single week. The Pickens got absolutely no work last week except the rogue touchdown he scored. So Sauce Gardner has owned who he's shadowing, and guess who he's shadowing? Cortland Sutton himself. I've never been hot on Marvin Mims, but I sure do love my boy Troy. So Troy Franklin is my spicy start of the week. Take a flyer on him, get paid off big time. Hopefully that's what we'll be hoping for. He's a risky flex, but I think it'll pay off big if you got enough gizmo to give it a go, let's say. I like it. All right, guys. Well, that's all we got for you for episode 10 and week 6 of fantasy football. We love you. We thank you. As always, some housekeeping. If you're not on our Patreon, what are you doing? Join our Patreon below for specific roster sit-start decisions, waiver wire, exclusive trade information. Everything you need gets posted in the Patreon. $5 a month to be a member, and we will be running our founding members price for a couple more weeks. So now's the time to jump in and capitalize on that lower rate before it goes up. Follow us on social media. Let's Talk Football says TikTok and Instagram. And of course, have a badass fantasy football week. We hope you guys win the week. Talk to you later, guys.
See ya. We good. We Gucci.
All right. 3, 2. Fuck you.
I thought I could get it in before that happened.
No, you couldn't.